Welcome to Module 3. In this module, we're going to talk about the communication partner and the communicative environment. We're going to look at what it takes to be an effective communication partner, including how we control the environment for more opportunities for communication. By the end of this module, you will have considered the interconnectedness of joint attention and theory of mind and how that impacts our ability to build trusting relationships. We'll look at the specific skills that we need to be a responsive communication partner, and you'll be able to look at communicative environments and identify ways that we can increase kids' opportunities to communicate. So we've broken this module into 3 parts. First, talking about building relationships, then specific strategies we can use to be an effective communication partner, and then we'll take a look at the communicative environment. So after we talk about building trust, which we'll do through looking at motivation, expecting competency, sharing experiences, and minimizing stress, I'll ask you to post your first reflection. Then we'll look at specific strategies that really make us a responsive a responsive communication partner, and there will be a fun little knowledge check there that you'll do. And then there will be another video by Pat Rydell with another model of a communication partner, which he refers to as a social model. And we'll be interested to get your thoughts on that with another reflection post. And then we'll talk about the communicative environment, and there will be an assignment that brings it all together. So as we go through this section on building relationships, think about a trusting relationship you've had with a student. How has the relationship impacted that student's emotional regulation and joint attention skills? And how has his joint attention skills and emotional regulation abilities impacted the relationship? So that'll be your post, and I just wanted to put it out there so you can start thinking about it as we move through this next section. So the first thing that we're going to talk about when we talk about building relationships is the idea of expected competency. And so what does that mean, to expect competency? Well, it really means that we know they can do something, that we know they bring something to the table. It's really the same respect that we show an adult that we're having a conversation with. We don't assume that they can't take a turn and take that turn for them. We really know it's within their ability to share something with us, and if we give them that opportunity, they can show us what they know and who they are. It's about helping them develop that sense of self, and we can think about that, how that impacts theory of mind. When we give kids a chance to show us what they know and who they are, they develop a sense of self, and when when they are able to develop a sense of self, they're more likely to develop a sense of others. It's really about only providing assistance when needed. Again, with an adult communication partner, we wouldn't tell them what they needed to say or answer the question for them. We really believe they can do it, and it's more than hoping they can do it or wishing they can do it. It's knowing that they can do it and really having those high expectations. The next idea that we want to talk about in building a trusting relationship is motivation. You know, we always talk about knowing what motivates a kid, and with communication it's more important than ever, because as we've talked about before, our ability to use language and communicate is one of the hardest things for us to do. So it's really important to know a student's interests, to become involved in what they're doing or saying, and we're going to talk more about following the child's lead. But if we really keep it meaningful by following their lead, children develop that intrinsic motivation to be engaged. They'll find pleasure in engagement without having that external reinforcement. They'll get that inherent satisfaction that most of us get by being engaged with other people. Another way we can keep engagement going and build on the joint attention and those rich extended turn-taking interactions is to have fun. how wonderfully engaged Charlie is here. He's pretty cute, isn't he? We're going to talk later about balancing stress, but you can see there's clearly no stress here. They're just having fun. And we can have fun with language at all levels. Think about older kids who like to tell jokes, or kids who act silly just to get a response from their peers. People like to laugh. And just like in that interaction with little Charlie, we have fun when we're sharing the experience. We can share ideas and we can share emotions. More importantly, we can share control. So, shared control is the idea that everyone in the interaction has a say in how that interaction goes. It's what we do with adults that we communicate with all the time. We don't determine what their turn should be or tell them what they should say. Shared control is really important because when we give kids choices and we really allow them to take the lead, they learn to make decisions. They learn to love social engagement, and it will ideally help them be more independent communicators. And think about how that sharing that experience with that shared control really impacts joint attention and theory of mind. And finally, flexibility, right? If we're not flexible, we're doomed. We have to be able to follow the child's lead and give up our own agenda sometimes. Another thing that we have to think about as communication partners who are trying to build a trusting relationship is all the stress that a student is under. We talked about in the last module, we talked about emotional stress and how emotional dysregulation can interfere with any successful communication or language learning. But we have to consider other stressors as well. Another stress is social stress. Those are things like when kids have to think about, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Who's going to sit by me? And when they do sit by me, what will they do? Will they touch me? And kids who have sensory issues may have a lot of stress when it comes to sensory things like who's going to touch me, or why is that light flickering, or it's just really too loud in here. We also have to think about cognitive stress. We need to be aware of the cognitive demands we're placing on children. And we really need to think about, if we're asking them to do something that's hard cognitively, we probably don't want to be asking a lot of social and communication if that's something that they also struggle with. So balancing all of these stressors may be one of the most difficult jobs we have as a communication partner, but as long as we're building trust, kids will give us a break. And the other nice thing is that we're doing this in teams, and hopefully together as a team you can really look at those stressors and help each other balance that load for children. So all of the ideas that we've talked about so far help to build a trusting relationship. But a final idea that I want to talk about is keeping a child successful. Of course we want to keep children successful. We would never want to set children up for failure. But what I'm talking about here in our role as a communication partner is the idea that we have to craft our turn in order to ensure that the student has another turn. So really it's the idea that whatever we do is for the sole purpose of keeping that student engaged. And we're going to talk more about that in the next section in the responsive communication partner strategies. So now I think actually we're ready for the reflection post. So again, think about a trusting relationship you've had with the student. How has the relationship impacted emotional regulation and joint attention? And how has joint attention and emotional regulation impacted your relationship?